Hello world, this is going to be a bit of a shorter video, but I wanted to go over a little bit of cleanup here, just while we had, the time to do it. I mean, while I have the time to do it. It's mostly, like I said, just cleaning up stuff. We're going to go over a little bit of kind of refining a couple of things really quick. It's all kind of related to the hunger stuff, and just make some tweaks and optimization. So really quick, let's first go into our UI here. Now, somebody had brought this up in the comments, and they had a good point. As far as the stamina bar, when we are binding it, we are running it on a tick, and generally it's okay to run smaller things on tick, something like this, but since we do really want to fixate on optimization throughout this whole process, they made a good point that, we can always move it over to the actual update hunger function. So that's what we're going to do. So if you just take your stamina, or excuse me, your hunger bar here, I mean, you could actually do this with the stamina one too. We'll probably do that as well here. But you take your hunger bar, go ahead and just, for that binding, just click that and remove the binding. And then if you go into the graph, you can just delete that binding here. I had it up here in my functions. I deleted it. Let's do it with the stamina one here in a minute too. And then let's go over to our character master. So in our character master, under our check of starving, we're going to do it like this. So we're going to take out that percentage we had earlier. We're going to change a couple of things to just refine this and make it faster and just more streamlined. So we have our hunger current. We are dividing it by our max hunger. And then we're going to take our controller reference, that component, or not that component, it's right here. Our controller reference, take that, drag it off of it, get your UI, like so, and then you're gonna drag from there. You're just gonna type in hunger bar, get it like so, drag off of this, just type in set %, click that one up there, okay, plug it in there, and that's just gonna set it during the check that we do. So every time we do this check in our in our timer here for our hunger, actually just anytime we update the hunger, every single time it's going to go through this, it's going to update it, then it's going to do check starving, and it's just going to update that stamina bar real quick, or hunger bar. I've also added a variable here called starving. It's just a bool. Again, click there, type in starving, change it to bool, and since we don't really want to constantly be updating our UI for no reason, just wasting resources, we're going to do a check for starving. So we're going to do that. If starving, so our current starving status, if we are or aren't starving, is equal to current hunger less than or equal to 0. So if current hunger is less than or equal to 0, we're going to check, is that the same as what we have here? If it is not, then obviously whatever our previous starving state was, whether we are or aren't starving, has changed. Because this is just going to basically tell us, are we currently starving? This is, were we starving? So basically, if whatever our state is has changed at all, then we want to update the UI. But if it hasn't changed, there's no reason to update the UI. That's just wasting resources. So we're going to take this amount, whatever this new status is for our starving. We're going to set that to whatever our new starving is. And then we're going to go into, well, if we are starving, we can pull right off of this. So if we are starving, change it to the starving image there. If we are not, then you change it to the non-starving image, basically. Okay? So that's that. Let's go back to the event graph. Okay? So in our interact, we've also made a bit of a change. So so you may or may not have this issue depending on what animations you're using, but sometimes if you'll see this a lot in games made in Unreal, actually. So if you really spam the crap out of a key, and it triggers it, like a jump, for example. If you spam the crap out of it, sometimes you'll notice in a lot of like games made in Unreal that the character will get stuck in this jump animation. And that's because it's not having enough time to transition or check a transition in the animations. So we're going to add a little delay. And this is literally just a delay until next tick. That's all it does. It just pauses it for just literally a single tick right there. and it basically just gives it a moment of a breath so that if you're spamming it, it's not going to feed any input in until at least one tick has gone by, and that'll give you just enough time to kind of check your animations and stuff, and also just not lock up the game with crazy amounts of spamming. So then we're going to check, are we eating? Because there's no reason to try and eat if we actively are eating, and this is just a waste of code. So if we are not already eating, then we want to go ahead and try to eat. So first, again, we're checking if the object we're interacting with is valid, and then we're going to do, does it have a tag? And that tag is going to be called food. And again, you can see the title there, actor has tag, put that in there. We might swap this over to our interface. We're going to do the interface in the next video. This is just a little quick one. But for now, we're just going to do actor has tag. This will be easier than casting, because casting, I'll go over why casting can be a problem when we get to interfaces, which again will probably be the next video, but suffice to say you kind of want to avoid casting to the best of your ability. So we're just going to check if it has a tag. If it does have a tag, if it is a food type, do eating. If it does not, we're not really going to do anything. We can plug this into here, and then this will just go into other kinds of checks, like if it's a water, whatever. So that is that. And then I think, let's see, a couple more things actually really quick here. So we have a new function here called get food. Again, just click function, write get food as the name, open that up. And we're going to do this. So we're going to replace this with an interface in the next video, but for now, just do interact object. And then we're going to create this. So really quick, let's do that. So over here in our interact master, we had a carcass item. I actually just renamed that to BP underscore food item, and then I added some code in here. We're going to go over this in just a sec, but first off, we want to go ahead and make sure that we have that food tag in here, because if you remember, we added that tag to the character to check if the item that we're interacting with is a food item. We need to make sure that tag shows up. So you just in the details over here, just type in tag, and then just click the plus button and make sure it says food, make sure it's capitalized the same and everything else, okay? So I just renamed that carcass to BP underscore food item, so it's kind of a master food item that still inherits from the interact item. And then we're going to add a couple of variables. We're going to have food total, food remaining. This is going to be a special one, we'll get to that in a second. These are all floats for the most part. Decay total and decay remaining, and then a timer. So again, click variable, make it a float, add these as the name. So food total, food remaining, decay total, decay remaining, and then we'll get to this one in a second and that one in a second. So for decay total, we want to go ahead and select that and make sure we have expose on spawn and instance editable available. What this does is make it so that when this object is spawned, we can immediately set this variable right off the bat, rather than setting it after it spawns. We want to set it right when it spawns. That's all this really does. So for decay total and food total, we want to both have instance editable, expose on spawn. Then we're going to take our decay remaining and we're going to set it as our total, because it's going to start out as the same amount as the total. I have the total set to 20. It's probably pretty low, honestly, because this is basically how many seconds it'll take before it disappears. So let's try 60 seconds. That's like an hour. Actually, that's probably, that's like a minute. But yeah, that's probably good. Food remaining, we're going to set that to our food total, obviously, same thing. I have 40 here. You can make whatever you want. And then, as before, we want to do a set timer by event, just like so. Click off of this, just do a create event like so, and then timing 1, looping, check that. We don't need a delay because it's going to be spawning when we're already in the world. Promote it, name it decay timer. So ignore this. So here you're going to right click, actually it's custom event, create a custom event, name that decay timer. Go back over here real quick and just make sure that you, or decay tick, I'm sorry, decay tick. And just go ahead and, set it to decay tick. Then from here, we want to get our decay remaining. we're going to basically check if it is less than or equal to 0. So basically, are we out of time? If we are, grab that decay timer, which is just a reference to this. And you're going to do clear and invalidate timer. All that does is basically stops the timer, basically wipes it out, gets rid of it. And then we want to go from here and just do destroy actor. Destroy actor like so. And this is basically it's going to stop our timer, and then it's going to destroy itself. So this object, whatever food item is in the world, it's going to destroy it. It's going to delete it from the world because it's decayed. It's no longer there. If it is still there, if there's still some time left, we're going to take that time remaining, and if you just do minus twice, it's going to decrement that, which basically just means, as you can see, subtracts 1 from the value there. So Jace takes whatever this is and subtracts specifically 1. It's just kind of a shorthand for minus, basically. If we did minus, and then we just did 1, and then set it. So that's all you got to do there for the decay tick. Okay. Then we're going to do this function. This is called onConsume. This might look a little tricky, but I promise it's not. So do another event, or here, custom event. So, custom event. Name it onConsume. Over here you want to click +1 for an input, and type in character for the name. And then here you want to do BP underscore character master object reference. Okay. That'll basically, what we're going to do here is we're going to send, our character's going to call this, it's going to input itself, and then we're going to take the byte amount, and we're going to, well, let's get back to that real quick. So go back to our character here. So we are here in the get food. So now that we've casted that, we can use that onConsume function that we just added, plug our self in there, so just go out of here and type self. Okay, I don't know why I have a print string there, but so just plug the self into there. We're passing ourself in as the character that's consuming that food. And then we're going to add another variable here called byte amount. And it's just going to be a float, and I have it set to 15, but we're going to set this specifically, and we're going to clean this up and kind of make that determine how much food we get, probably based on our size. I don't know what the formula is yet for how much is bitten off, like if it's per species, if it's tested with your age. So if anybody knows kind of what the formula is for what the amount that a dinosaur can bite from the food, let me know in the comments, because I would like to know that before I get to that. But if I don't, I'll just kind of go with it in our next video, and we'll figure that out and kind of put something together that feels right. So right now I'm defaulting to 15. Alright, so back in our consume, now that we have that byte, you can just drag off the character, do byte amount to get that number. So we're going to basically decide, will there be any food left over? When we bite into this food, is there going to be anything left over from it after we bite it? So we're going to take the remaining amount of food, we're going to see if it's more than or equal to the amount that we're biting off. If it is, then there's probably going to be food left. If it is not, we're just going to add whatever's remaining. So we take this amount, and if we don't have anything left, so let's say that there's like 4 pieces of food left, but our bite amount is 15. We only need to get that 4 pieces of food. So we're going to go to false here. And you remember our update hunger function that we made in the character over here? We're going to call that again. So in the food item, you go from character, this, I have a kind of reroutes here. If you want to do a reroute, you can just drag it and just type in reroute, and it makes it so much easier to just kind of make these little guys. Or you can just double click on it and it does that. Oops, let's not do that. And it just kind of helps keep it clean. So we don't have, if we only have like 4 pieces of food, we took a bite of that's like worth 15, we'd only want to return that 4 pieces of food. So we just we do our update hunger, and then we're just going to insert the remaining amount of food. That's all we need to do, because that's all it's less than our bite amount. However, if it's equal to, or if we have, let's say, like 25 pieces of food and our bite's 15, well, there's going to be 10 left. So we need to figure out, we need to reset their food remaining to that 10 left. So we take what's currently there, we subtract our bite amount from it, and then we're going to immediately set that food remaining. So we're going to set that to that 10. Then we're going to update our hunger, just like we did over here. We're going to update our hunger with the bite amount, because we know that we can at least bite off the amount that we were able to bite, so let's just set it to that. And then we're going to have this all nice and updated. After that, we always want to basically check if there's anything left. So we're going to do our food remaining. We're going to see, is it equal to, or if it's greater than, if it's greater than 0. So basically, if there's anything remaining. If there is, don't do anything. But if there's nothing remaining, we want to destroy this object. So we want to make sure we're clearing our timer. We're getting our decay timer again, grabbing that, just doing, clear and invalidate. And then again, we're destroying this object. There's no food left, so destroy it. Take it out of the world. Get rid of it. So that's that. Nice and simple. Alright, so the last thing we want to do is we want to have like a food type. Like, what kind of food is this? Because we're going to need to know that later. Can this dinosaur eat this kind of food? Is this editable? Is this edible? Does it give me certain types of attributes? Is it better than other kinds of foods? Is it part of my diet? Things like that matters. So we're going to make a new variable. But first, we need to create something called an enum. An enum is just a list of kind of predetermined data that's basically just titles. Basically, it's words. So you want to right click, go to blueprint, and go down to enumeration, and it's just a list of values. As you can see there, it's a list of values. So click that, and you want to name it E for enumeration, food types. So I have some basics here, and you can just add. You can add here to add a bunch more, and you can go over here to delete them. So I added a few, and I just named it fresh meat, rotten meat, bone, berries, horsetail, whatever dinosaurs eat. I don't know all the food types. So I just made some of these, and I saved it. And then, if you go back into your food item, you want to create a new variable. We'll just call this food. Whoa. Food. I actually have it here, food type, but I'm going to show you how to make it. So food, whatever. Food type, if you will. Go here, and then you want to type in that name. So E underscore food type, and you can set it there. So make sure you compile it and save. Once you've compiled it, you can actually set a default value here. You can see you can swap between them. So the cool thing about this, and for this one also, make sure that you have it set to instance editable, expose and spawn. But for, let's say if I wanted to set it at begin play or something, I could just do, actually no, not even that. I'll show you something cooler than that. So now we have this food item, and I made these meshes, by the way. There's like a meat chunk and like an intestinal thing. You can, make whatever you want, but I'll add these to the files at the Dropbox, and you can download them if you want. I have 2 of them here. So here's like the intestines. It's disgusting, isn't it? Yeah, and the meat. So you'll be able to get those if you want. And the food item. So if we go over here, and if we go to our food item that we just made, right? So this is our master food items, right? So let's create another child, and we're gonna name this. Let's see, BP intestines. Yummy. Okay. Open that up. Take the static mesh there, and we're gonna change that to the intestines. So, and you'll see something else as well over here. So when I'm setting stuff like this, I can actually go to should be there it is. So defaults. I can set all this stuff here as well to just do it really quickly if you want. So if you go here, then you just go to class defaults. You can actually quick set stuff here and just make sure you compile and save it. But this is the cool thing about when you have things exposed on spawn, instance editable. So if I grab this and I drag it into the world, just kind of lift that up so it's not going through the ground. Give a little bit of rotation there. And then let's actually clean up that that box row. So let's make this a little bit bigger, and then we're going to take that mesh and move that over a little bit. Okay, there we go. So if you'll notice when I have this selected, if I go over here, under my default, I now have those things that I exposed on spawn, and I can just grab those and change those. So let's see if I wanted this to be 20 food, and instead of fresh meat, let's go back into our enum, add one, and we'll call it intestines. Save that. So if I go back to our map here and I have this selected again, if I click on that enum, I can select it to intestines, and there you go. So that's nice and easy. I'll show you more about why this is cool later, but let's test that out. I have a meat one over here is just kind of the base default one. So let's test out how that looks when we're eating. Alright, so I got my baby in here. I'm running around. If I hit E, nothing happens. If I go up to the meat, if I hit E, he's eating. Now look at his stomach just filled up. You see that? We got some food out of that. And I can sit here and keep eating this, and we'll probably add in the sickness thing pretty soon here. We haven't done that quite yet, but I can just sit here and eat out of this. And what we're going to do is we're going to have it to where it actually ends up spawning, once we do our bite, it'll end up spawning that a piece of meat in the mouth and kind of show that. But if we just kind of give it a second, let that tick. Let's have a seat for a minute. You can see my hunger going back down very, very slowly. I really should move that up a bit more whenever we're doing these videos to kind of speed it up. But so it's okay. It's gone down a little bit. You can see it. So we go up to this food here. I hit E to eat it, and there you go. He ate it. It's all gone. We are nice and happy. We have had some food. But you notice that was only 20. It wasn't very much. So if I eat this one, I can eat quite a bit out of it because it's got 40 pieces. It should be, I think, 3 or 4 bites, and then we would basically just max out how much is left on it. So, yeah, we have that set up. I want to get the formula for the bite figured out because I don't have that yet. So I'm kind of like lingering on that one. But if you know what it is, tell me, and if you don't know what it is, then I don't know, we'll figure it out. So yeah. We could eat again, get the hunger back up there. There we go. He's nice and full. Okay. Alright, so that's it. It's not a huge video. We're going to do more later, but I wanted to show you some of that cleanup stuff. In our next one, we're probably going to do... I really want to get to the interfaces because it's really important to start removing those casts as soon as possible and making sure we're optimizing things. And if we can, we will fit in the part where we're spawning the meat pieces in the mouth and all that, and just kind of showing that cool little bit of animation so it looks more realistic. If not, we'll do it after that. And we'll just move on from there. Alright, so that's it. I will see you guys in the next video. Like, comment, and all that good junk. And bye-bye.